A signing day so nice we have to talk about it twice is part two of Locked on Bama for Wednesday.
You are Locked on Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, welcome back into Locked on Bama, AHSA Radio Network's Luke Robinson, that's me. Alabama internet legend Jimmy Stein, that's him. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel, and we want to thank you every day you're watching every day because you've made Locked on the number one sports podcast network there is, and we're part of that sports podcast network over here at Locked on Bama. So you guys are the best. We want to spend a lot of time now talking about signing day. I will just throw out there the SEC is not doing well in the ACC SEC challenge. Hopefully that changes tonight, particularly with Alabama playing Clemson. But the SEC is sort of taking it on the chin. They doled out the punishment last year. This year, not so good. But that's not what you want to talk about right now. You want to talk about recruiting. I don't blame you. Jimmy and I talked about it in the first podcast earlier today that Owen Cabell did flip from Alabama to Vanderbilt. There will be some Auburn people say, yeah, well, also Brian Williams flipped. Alabama's barely talked to Brian Williams in about 2.5 months. So we didn't expect him in this class. He remained committed. It was a lot like Sam Utu, who was committed for a while. And then the writing was on the wall. He's going to flip to SMU, which I think he's done. So no problem. Not a big deal. But let's just say very quickly that you and I both wanted Owen Cabell in this class. It just didn't work out. It'll be okay. As long as Cederian Morgan is in this class, I'm happy. He may be my favorite player in this class.
Yeah, Ced Morgan is official, and what a huge deal that is. I want to say quickly, the Cabell thing, just obviously about money and priority just wasn't a huge priority for Alabama, but was a big priority for Vanderbilt. So that's reflected in revenue share and NIL, just the financial package. So that's why he's at Vanderbilt. One thing about when you said, about Brian Williams, hasn't really talked to Alabama in a while, which is true. Understand this for those unaware in terms of how this works. Not everybody knows this. Most of you will, some of you won't. But in terms of who's on the commitment list, like when you go to a BOL and you pull up the commitment list, it's going to have this list. Those kids are on the commitment list because they made public announcements of where they were committed to. That's why they're on the list, because they made a big public announcement. Well, it might be known to the people that work on the site moderators, that Brian Williams isn't going to sign with Alabama on signing day. So, well, why is he on the commitment list? Because he hasn't made an announcement to take himself off of it. So you kind of have to go. It can't just be, hey, this is who I think Alabama's going to sign. You can't have a list of official commitment lists. This is who we think they're going to sign. You can have posts and guess and articles. Hey, this is a guess on our part. But the commitment list itself is made up of kids who have announced publicly that they're going to sign with that school. Until they make an announcement that they're not signing with that school, they stay on the list. So that's why it's seemingly Brian Williams been committed this whole time. Really hasn't been since October. Like I said, Luke's right. I'm sure Auburn fans will claim their victory, and that's fine. Who cares? Who cares? But no one should care. But no, Auburn did not straight up beat Alabama in a heated recruiting battle for the kid. Now, by the way, is the kid a good player? Yeah, they're pretty much all good if they're signing with SEC schools, period. Heck, Auburn flipped DeMarcus Broughton from Mary Montgomery, a tight end, kid that was going to go to South Florida, and Golish wants to bring him to Auburn. That means that's Golish's opinion. Hey, we know this kid. We recruited him. We think he's an SEC player. And that's fine. I thought Broughton would end up in the SEC myself. I thought early on he would go to Mississippi State. So regardless, great day for Alabama, Luke. Ced Morgan, I know how much he means to you and the Alexander City people. I definitely in the running for my favorite in the class. In the running, it'll be fun to break that down. Favorite, most impactful, Heck, I mean, you throw them out there, it'll be fun to answer them because there's so many great answers. This is a really good class. Is it a Saban class? Is it as good as the all-time Saban classes? No, no. For all those that think that we just sit here and pump sunshine and talk about rainbows and unicorns, it's not as good as the Saban classes of yesteryear that were ranked 1 and 2. But here's the good news: it doesn't have to be. Sign this class exactly as good as this one year after year after year. You're a national championship contender, period.
Well, and also it's changed since Saban's time. Now
Yes.
with the transfer portal and everything,
Rev share.
again, there's no time to panic unless you're Penn State. Penn State may have they lost their number one recruit that was left to Virginia Tech today. Penn State is in a world of hurt. It is
Karma'd. They never should have fired James Franklin. I mean, I believe that the moment they did it. Maybe I'm in the minority for those listening, but I think it was a huge mistake. I think they got karma'd here.
Well, we're going to go into some superlatives off the cuff, top of the mind superlatives here in the next two segments. But I did want to take a second because somebody asked me last night on my Sports Split show. I say somebody, my co-host asked me. He said, grade these hires or rank the hires. And I said, I'm going to begrudgingly say that LSU got the best hire, and here's why. That I think they become an immediate threat to win a national championship. Now, I'm not saying they will. I'm saying they are an immediate threat. I feel like they will make the playoffs next year because also bringing in Lane Kiffin, you have to assume, based on some of the little wink things that have been going around, Trinidad Chambliss may be following him. Keywan Lacey is a potential to follow him, apparently. And they've already got some Ole Miss dudes to flip to LSU, and LSU already has a good foundation anyway. So I said Lane Kiffin is begrudgingly my number one, but if you're talking long term, he wouldn't be number one. Number two would be James Franklin. He is immediately making Virginia Tech a viable option again. Yeah. And then I said number three, I think you could put these guys in a hat, and whichever one you go with is fine. But Summerall, Golish, and maybe even Silverfield, because I think that he's already at Arkansas. He's already done some good stuff. Golish, while I love his fit for Auburn, I really mean that. It pains me to say it. I mean it. I think he's a good fit for them. But I'm looking at recruiting this year, and he's bringing a bunch of his South Florida guys. Essentially is what he's done. Those are the new guys he's brought in, and he may lose somebody like a Jace Matthews. Auburn's already lost Braylon Womack, who's clearly their best player. So I don't know. Recruiting, I'm not sure how that's going to go yet. And then Summerall, who I also like. I think recruiting wise, he's done some good stuff. He's gotten some 5 stars to stick and things like that, like Jaraylen McCoy. I hope I'm saying that right. But his press conferences don't overwhelm me. So I think any of those guys has positives and has negatives. I would go to my grave saying I think Summerall's a better fit at Auburn and Golish probably a better fit at Florida. I don't see why those two didn't flip-flop, but whatever. That being said, my point is that's where Penn State really screwed up because, yes, James Franklin was having a problem winning the big game. But here's the deal. The big game was always somebody like a Michigan team that would go undefeated and win a natty, or an Ohio State team that would go undefeated and win a natty. I mean, okay, everybody was having trouble beating them. That's why they were undefeated. So, I mean, if you're Penn State, James Franklin did sort of bring you back into national prominence, and then you just, uneloquently shoved him out the door. And I don't know. It's going to be interesting. But that just goes to show you how, look, recruiting's changed a lot. Penn State can make some waves in the portal just like everybody else can. But, boy, I think they got a long road to hoe.
Yeah, I'm real curious to see who they end up with. But, no, I like your rankings a lot. I agree that LSU is now – it's like they really – always were, but definitely are an annual championship contender with Lane Kiffin. They are until Lane, leaves Baton Rouge, which will happen one day. And when it does, it's going to be noisy and ugly. It will happen one day.
It will.
But until then, they're going to win. That's Lane Kiffin. like I described at Ole Miss. You know, he shows up, he's the bomb. When he leaves, he's a bomb, and it goes off, and it's terrible looking. I like Lane Kiffin, though, number one in the rankings of the hires, and James Franklin, too, because now Virginia Tech, overnight, a threat to win the ACC. You know what happens when you win the ACC? You go to the playoff. I don't know that there'll be a better program than occasionally we go to the playoff under James Franklin, but just putting Virginia Tech in the same sentence as the playoff, it was insane until they hired James Franklin, and now I think it'll be an annual thing. There'll be an annual threat to win the league. So I love those two hires. Someone's going to get lucky in the coordinator sweepstakes. Of all the programs that hired these coordinators, like Will Stein to Kentucky, like Colin Klein, who's being hired by Kansas State today with the surprise retirement of their coach. I think Colin Klein will move on to Kansas State. He could end up being a fantastic head coach. Tosh Lupoy at Cal, another guy. I'm shocked no one has jumped on the Glenn Schumann. Wow. And by the way, Penn State, it might not be popular, and you might feel like you're digging at the dumpster. How about Glenn Schumann, Penn State? Maybe that's a grand slam home run for someone. I'm surprised that hasn't happened yet. So someone's going to win the coordinator sweepstakes. Someone's going to win the group of five sweepstakes, and it might be Golish. I unfortunately agree with you. I think Golish was a good hire at Auburn. He is a good fit there. I think Alex Golish is going to do well at Auburn. For Alabama fans upset to hear that, should we be surprised when Auburn's good? No. This is a top 15 program nationally, top 15 historically, top 20 historically. Historically, they're good, and they're going to be good again. I thought they would be good under Hugh Freeze recruiting-wise.
Yeah.
That was somewhat partially true, but not as true as I thought it might be. But Golish is a competent, good football coach, and they're going to be good. They'll be good.
We're going to talk some superlatives about Alabama's class in just a second. But how about I tell you about FanDuel? NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, yo. You're reacting to it in real time, like a real guy or gal. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is the best when the game starts to shift, a receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. Player props update as guys heat up. You can bet the next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, then you need to visit FanDuel.com and place your live NFL bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you with FanDuel. All right, let's get into some superlatives, Jimmy. Again, I've already said my favorite player in the class, and it is a homer pick. It's a homer pick for a homer podcast. It's Cederian Morgan. I'm a little shocked that he's dropped in some of the rankings at some places, because I'm going to tell you something. The more I've seen him, the more I love him. He is built like Terrell Owens in a way. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to be Terrell Owens. I'm just saying he will give you Terrell Owens vibes. He comes from the same hometown. He's built like him. He's tall. He's a good basketball player. He's 6'4", 220. I mean, just post up somebody down there and just throw it up. He's a leaper. He's a go get it in traffic guy. His speed is plenty. I mean, what is he timed? I mean, my guess is a 4.5 or something like that. But if it's 4.62, don't worry, because it's like the Joker said when he was meeting with all those mob bosses in The Dark Knight. He's like a dog chasing a car. If he caught it, what's he going to do with it? If you catch Cederian Morgan, what are you going to do then? You're probably going to get hurt. So I'm pro Cederian Morgan here. And here's my hope. And again, this is why it is disappointing to me not to have Owen Cabell in here. I'm not as disappointed about Brian Williams. I would have liked to have had him, but I understand the staff is cooled. now I think Owen Cabell sort of fit the mold. You know, we talked about this in the summer when we had all these receivers committed, that the staff seems to like really tall Stanford-esque receivers, like volleyball player dudes. And now we got Cederian Morgan, who is that, but we had Owen Cabell, who was also that, and Brian Williams, who's kind of that. But Cederian Morgan, the last man standing on the wide receiver commitment list. Samson Gash may join it super fast. That'd be nice. But again, for now, Cederian Morgan, our lone wide receiver, and my favorite recruit of the class.
Boy, it's so good, especially at the top. And I have so many candidates. I feel like I hate that I can't talk about 12 of them. But if I had to pick one, I'm going to go Jirer Edwards, the safety from Baltimore. Just love his game because there's about 3 different spots a safety can play right now. I mean, in the broadest sense of the term, you can be a safety that plays up in the box. That's really, a talented box safety. I think Bray Hubbard's a good example of that. You can be a great center fielder, somebody that's the last line of defense, somebody that's a ball hawk, someone that reads the quarterback well, knows where the play's going, that even though they're way back there in center field, they come up and make plays because they diagnose so well. You can be that kind of safety. Or the most difficult safety position to play in Alabama's defense, but one that's nice, is the Husky spot. Slot corner. Requires a physical guy, requires a guy that lines up in the box, but often covers a wide receiver, even in man-to-man coverage. What I love about Jirer Edwards, and so few safety prospects can say this, he could be great at any of it. This is an excellent box safety prospect. This is an excellent center field prospect. This is an excellent slot corner prospect. He can do any of it. I love the versatility. It's because of his physicality plus athleticism that makes him that kind of guy. I'm not much on making safeties 5 stars. I'm not much on making safeties first round picks. He's that guy. He's him, as they say on Monday Night Countdown. He's him. And so I'll go Jirer Edwards as my favorite in the class, but a lot of contenders. Oh, mute. A signing day mute. A signing day mute. We haven't had a mute in a while.
It was a signing day mute.
Hadn't had a mute in a while, but I love the signing day. You come through on a big show.
We're right here at the end of the year. I like to give something back to the people. Instant impact.
They love it.
Instant impact. People are going to think I'm being a little lazy here. How about EJ Crowell? That's my instant impact guy, and it's risky because he is skipping his senior season. People seem to forget that. He's enrolling really early, like a year early. He's going the Ryan Williams route, which again, I'm on board with. Ryan Williams came in like gangbusters. EJ Crowell, and I cannot wait to see him Friday play for a state championship. And that's a game I'm really looking forward to. They're playing an undefeated Anniston team. That's going to be tough. But EJ Crowell, just so dynamic. And no matter, they lost a couple of games this year. One of them was to, I think, a 7A or 6A team, and one of them was to St. Michael's, who is quarterbacked by Gunnar Rivers, Philip's son. So no shame. And then they got revenge in the playoffs against St. Michael's, by the way. But Crowell is just so.
They lose to Saraland, maybe?
I think it may have been Saraland. I think you're right.
Early.
And by the way, Saraland's playing for a state championship.
Yeah,
so.
No shame in losing to Saraland. Yeah. Saraland could win an SEC game or two.
But I just think EJ Crowell is going to come in. He's going to have a golden opportunity. I think Daniel Hill and AK Deer will have something to say about this. But in the end, I think it's going to be too difficult to keep him off the field.
Yeah, I love that answer. I might have gone with it myself if I was picking first, but since I didn't pick first, I'll go with somebody else. A little boring because I'm going to go with Luke's first answer. I'll go with Ced Morgan at wide receiver in terms of a guy that immediate impact. I'm convinced, absolutely convinced, watching his tape that he is an off the bus first team guy. I'm not saying he's going to start. I'm not saying he's going to move like, let's say, Isaiah Horton. He's most similar to Isaiah Horton in the Alabama lineup. I'm not saying he's moving him out of the lineup, no. But CD Morgan will be a first team rotation guy off the bus. He will be one of the better wide receivers on the team immediately. And despite Alabama's impressive depth of talent, We're talking about Ryan Williams, Latsier Brooks, Isaiah Horton, Rico Scott. Cederian Morgan's going to play with the first team next fall. I feel very confident of that assertion. He is a contested catch monster. I mean, right off the bus, he'll be one of the better contested catch wide receivers in this league immediately.
I don't think there's any doubt. I mean, and if you haven't seen him, oh my God, I've got this problem with my. Sorry, can you hear that?
I hear it barely. I mean, it's not loud, but I hear
it. It is. I mean, like I have this problem with my one of my emails, and and it's just like it's the most annoying thing.
When it pops up, it makes noise. And
oh God, it's so horrible. But anyway,
makes you miss the old "you've got mail."
Remember those days? Yeah. Boy, those things were super reliable. All right, so let's talk a little bit about some other superlatives here. And, you and I, and we probably will do this maybe after the late signing period. Future NFL top 5 pick. There's some – I mean, I'm tempted to go Cederian Morgan here, but I think I will go Jirer Edwards here. Even though safety isn't exactly – the place that a lot of dudes take picks, I'm going to hedge my bets. I'll go Jirer Edwards or Nolan Wilson. Nolan Wilson coming in from Mississippi. You've already talked about Jirer, so no need to go over that again. But Nolan Wilson, Alabama staved off a massive rush from Miami. They wanted him badly. And Miami's just passing out dollar bills, y'all. So, I mean, he probably turned down some extra cash. That's just my guess. And I'm not mad at Miami for doing it. If you got the cash, do it. But I think he's ranked a little low. I love his film. He's the lowest he is 83. The highest he is 52. I think Nolan Wilson's going to come in. I don't know about an instant impact because it's difficult on the defensive line sometimes, even though London Simmons did it. I think that eventually this guy is going to be a big-time problem. I mean, he's 6'4", 260 already. And I think under some tutelage and going against some big offensive linemen in Alabama's class, I think that eventually he turns out to be a superstar.
I'm going to go shocker for here. A future top 5 pick. This will be a fun shocker, but I really feel this way in terms of who in this signing class has the potential to one day be a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. I'm going brand new commitment signee Malique Franklin from Daphne. One of the reasons I love Franklin so much is, when I described him in the last show for the first time talking about him, I said Sunday traits, interior pass rusher. Those guys, Quentin Williams was one at Alabama. Things worked out pretty good for that guy, right? Now, Malique Franklin has more length than Quentin Williams. Again, I think he's something like 21 or 23 tackles for loss. Really his first year playing football at this position. When he started playing football years ago, he was sometimes playing offensive line, but he underwent a radical body transformation. And that radical body transformation landed him as a defensive end. I think he'll be a defensive tackle at Alabama, and I think he's going to wind up in the 6'6", 290, 295 range, be a fantastic interior pass rusher with those long arms, great get off, plays a super motor. The motor's fantastic. Malique Franklin, future top 5 pick in the NFL draft. I know that's a reach, but I really like it. I really do.
I think that, when you have a good class like this, somewhere between top 3 and top 8 class like this, it can sometimes be difficult to label a sleeper because everybody's got, pretty good pedigree. I'm tempted to go Zay Hall here. I'm not going to, but the reason I'm going to say that I was tempted with him is because he's from Tuscaloosa. And for some reason, those Tuscaloosa dudes that end up at Alabama, going back to Antonio Williams, going back to Brian Robinson. I mean, shoot, you could say Seth Williams, who ended up at Auburn, was a heck of a player. And who else am I missing from Tuscaloosa through the years? Andre Royal. Yeah.
Andre Royal.
Yeah. He was I think things didn't end up great for him, but he was a dude's dude when he was duding. So Zay Hall is I think an interesting choice, but you know who I'm going to go. And even though people would say, Luke, that's cheating, he's not really a sleeper. I mean, I'm going to see where he's ranked here. He's ranked like number 71 in the country. Jet Tamala. Okay, it's not fair to call him a sleeper probably because a lot of people have finally caught on. He's number 57 in 24/7. But I think when people look at him and just go, oh, okay, so you got this dude from Omaha, Nebraska, you know, hey, the only thing that comes out of Omaha, Nebraska is pretty good steaks from Omaha Steaks. And that's not true. Jet Tamala is a fantastic player. He's really good. And when he won a state championship and he had like 22 touchdowns in the first half, he's crazy good. And I know that if you're an Alabama guy, you're like, okay, well, is Jet Tamala really going to beat out Keelan Russell or Austin Mack or Ty Simpson should he come back, or even Taden Kaba if it comes down to it, who's also a sleeper prospect on here? I have a feeling about Jet Tamala. I have a feeling he's a player for us at some point.
No, I like it. I just think Jet Tamala is almost too much of a blue chipper to call him a sleeper. I mean, because to me, he's just a national top 10 quarterback, and I fully expect him to be a good player. I'll go more sleeper in terms of a much lower ranked kid that I'm a real believer in, and that's Bear Fretwell. I'm a big believer in Bear, but word of caution, this might take a hot minute. He's young. He's a reclass guy. What I'm saying about Bear Fretwell is just sort of don't put him on the list of impact guys. Just sort of maybe a redshirt year, give him to David Ballou for a while. Let's check back in 2 or 3 years. It might take that long, but the payoff is going to be huge because all the traits are there to be great. I love the feet, love the athleticism, love the attitude. He's going to work hard even when he's not immediately playing in the games. But I do think long term, he's going to be one of the best players in this class when evaluated in year 4 or even year 5. Year 1, maybe not, but that's okay. Doesn't have to be. Plays a position where you don't expect that anyway. But I like Bear Fretwell as one of the best sleepers in this class based on ranking. Like I always say, I got to call him a sleeper now because he's lowly ranked. If he had played a senior year of high school, he'd be highly rated and highly ranked if he had returned and played a senior season of high school, in my opinion.
I think also the easy answer could have been Corey Howard, but I also feel like that's cheating because while he's ranked, no higher than say, his national rank at 593. But Georgia was dying for him. Georgia had him. He was committed to Georgia. And now he's committed to Alabama. So if you're like, okay, you can choose between Alabama and Georgia and you're still ranked 593, you're criminally underranked.
Right. Florida wanted him too.
Yeah.
I mean, and he is criminally underranked. But I did consider that answer because that would have been a good answer. There's several answers. I wasn't sure I could count Maury Johnson from Muscle Shoals as a sleeper. Based on where he's ranked, but Maury Johnson to me is like no one talks about him. I think he's one of the best players in the class.
Well, he's only at 286. I went with a guy who's 71. But in my defense, Jet Tamala just now got re-ranked up this highly by everybody. Number one, and number two, when you look at
Iowa State, so he's committed to Iowa State. That's not too noisy,
Well, and also when you look at like his profile picture, I'm looking at all these profile pictures up here. There's nobody else that I see that I go, I wouldn't be scared of him. Jet Tamala is the only one that I go, okay, he looks like, just a dude. But when you watch him play, you're like, oh my God, that guy's special. So that's where that comes from.
Winner athlete. Well, the thing about when I think about Jet Tamala is he is a pocket passer. I don't even like going dual threat with him because he's so good in the pocket. And I think that's why Alabama he's a pocket passer. But for a pocket passer, he's a good athlete. That's an outstanding athlete for a kid that you're going to put in the pocket. Winner. I know he played at a dominant high school. That's the best high school in the Brett, but still he's a winner. Trent Seaborn, same way in the next class. Winner.
Yep. All right. That's going to do it for today's part 2 pod. Until next time, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.